2023 Game Award, and there was an interesting thing displayed.
Come out, little mouse.
Look at you mortals. Come and defy me. If you dare.
So what this technology is called, for those who aren't familiar with it, there's this holographic mesh. It's called hologauze. And it's basically a really fine mesh, like almost to the point of like fishing string. I mean, they've been talking about Project Bluebeam for literally decades. But imagine if they had like multiple balloons out there holding edges of this cloth. And this was a no-fly zone, so they make sure no airplanes would come in this area. You could project alien spacecraft on this holographical thing in the sky. Let's say it's about 10,000 feet in the sky. And at nighttime, you won't see the mesh. You're going to literally see alien stuff.
Hey, Shalom, it's your brother Yonathan, right? First and foremost, I want to give all praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Baruch HaKodash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. I want to say Shalom to all the brothers and, of course, the few sisters pursuing this truth and sincerity. All right, may the blessing of election be upon your house. Now, I played that clip at the beginning of the video. We're going to respond to it through the Spirit. Abaratazah, the lesson is edifying. Now, whenever Esau shows you any technological advances, he's showing you the baseline of what he's developed. He's not going to show you, the cream of the crop of what he has. All right? A lot of this technology, he's going to use it to deceive many. The scriptures call him the devil. The devil means deceiver. All right? So, especially with something like this, you've seen the chariot in one of the clips. Their version of one. They're going to use this technology to deceive a lot of people. We mentioned back in the day Project Bluebeam. That's not something that they scrapped. They may call it something else nowadays, but that's an agenda that's on the table for them. All right, and the only way we can tell the difference between the real and the fake, because they're gonna have some things that look convincing, right? The reason the elect are gonna be able to tell the difference between the real and the fake is because the elect have a thorough understanding. Hold on, baby. The elect have a thorough understanding of prophecy, and the Lord is going to be with them. All right, so let's prove that. All right, let's go to Matthew 24 and 21. All right, it reads, "For then shall be great tribulation," all right, Jacob's trouble, "such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be." It's also written in Daniel 12 and 1, right? The time that's getting ready to play out on the earth isn't going to be able to be compared to any other horrific time in history, because this is going to far outdo it. We're about to see some things we've never seen, that we never read about. Okay, verse 22. "And except in those days, Salakia, and except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake," and it's all about the elect of the nation of Israel. All right, Yahushai, then the elect. All right, that's going to be the new governing body over the earth forevermore. Okay, so the Lord is holding back a lot of destruction and all these things so that the elect are fully sealed. Once they're sealed, the destruction is going to begin to roll. Okay? The elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. Then if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is the anointed, or here is the Savior, or there, believe it not. We're not going to believe it because we know the particular fashion in which the Lord returns. But this devil with his technology, he's going to try to deceive a lot of people into going along with his program. Okay? But the elect, because they have a thorough understanding of prophecy and the scriptures, and the Lord is with them, they have the proper, perspective on things, they're going to what? Pass the test. They're not going to be deceived by the deception that this man is going to sow. You need to have a thorough understanding of prophecy. The people you learn from need to have a thorough understanding of prophecy and how things are going to play out. You have to ask yourself, have you been learning what's to come and the details of how it's going to go down? Because if your teachers aren't teaching you that, it's because they're not prophets. Okay? If you're looking for the answer and the pathway to salvation, which is what we all seek, you need to be learning from the prophets, not someone who's trying to profit off of you. Okay? Let's continue reading this again. Then if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is the anointed, or there, believe it not. For there shall arise many false Christs and false prophets, and shall shew great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, but it's not, that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. And for it to be written, if it were possible, they would deceive the very elect. Even though the elect have understanding of prophecy, all the scriptures, that means the deception is going to be so thick that everybody else is going to be deceived by it. That means that the things they're about to put out there is going to seem so real that majority of people who the Lord isn't dealing with, it's going to be the logical thing to believe what he's putting out there. The only way you're not going to be deceived is if the Lord is dealing with you, you've been given the eye salve, and you have understanding of prophecy. Okay? Verse 24 again. For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall shew great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Behold, I have told you before. Wherefore, if they shall say unto you, Behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it not. For as lightning cometh out of the east, and shining even unto the west for all to see, right? When you see lightning, everybody sees it. It's out in the open. It's very public. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. It's going to be very public. It's not going to be this secret thing that has, did you see it? No, everybody going to know at the same time when it happened. The Lord's going to return on a father ship that you're not even going to be able to see the whole ship. We're just going to see the tip of the ship. And we'll get that in an example in the book of Esdras. For wheresoever I'm going to leave it there. All right, because I want to go get that example in Esdras that I just mentioned. And we're going to get what Project Bluebeam is as well. Didn't forget that. All right, this is 2nd Esdras 13 and verse 5. It says, And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea. Here when it says the sea, it's talking about he came out of space. Okay, there's different waters. Okay, it's not just the water that you were taught in school. All right, verse 6. But I beheld, and lo, he graved himself a great mountain. This mountain was a chariot. He's comparing it to a mountain to illustrate to you the massive size that it was. And oftentimes, sometimes when you see a mountain, especially if you're close up on it, and say this mountain goes up high into the clouds, you can't see the top of it. You can't really see the whole mountain just because you're so close up on it. Okay? That is the case of this chariot that the Lord is going to return on. But I beheld, and lo, he graved himself a great mountain and flew up upon it. But I would have seen the region or place where the hill was graven, and I could not. And after this I beheld, and NASA recently came out with those statements. They seen a chariot 100 times bigger than the earth. They keep seeing these chariots. Years ago they said they thought they discovered a new planet. They was calling it Planet Nibiru, but then they realized it was moving oddly, and it was like, oh no, that looks like a ship. These people are completely outclassed. They have no chance to defend themselves from the master of the universe and his son. Okay? So this is the power that's on our side. We actually can't lose. If you don't feel endowed and invigorated with supreme confidence, you got to check yourself. There should be no doubt in your being that we're going to be good. Yeah, there's going to be tests that the Lord is allowing to happen to us. But when it comes to winning or losing, there is no losing for us. We don't lose in this scenario. The Lord let all these things happen simply so we could learn a lesson. This was a whooping. All this was a whooping. And a whooping is so you could acknowledge your mistake, change, and grow from it. So don't look at your life or the things that you're going through as losing. We're getting a whooping because we was being bad kids. Okay? But when it comes to losing, our Father ain't gonna let us lose. It's fucking crazy talk. Let's continue to read. It's verse 9. And lo, as he saw verse 8. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid. Now, the Lord's going to intervene in the midst of World War III. Okay? In the valley of Yahweh Shaphat. You can read about this in Joel, the 3rd chapter, where the Lord gathers all the nations in the so-called Middle East, in that area, that region around Syria. That's where the final battle is going to take place. And the Lord's going to intervene, and they're going to turn to fight him. But this is how that fight is going to pan out. That's what we're reading. Okay, verse 8. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid. All the militaries and soldiers, when they see the Lord returning, the ship that he's on, especially because during that time, most people are going to know what the real is. Because people are going to know, oh, those guys on the corners, they had the truth. What were they saying? It's going to be spread. People are going to know, like, oh, this is Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, who those men were talking about. So they're going to be so afraid when they see the Lord return. That's what it says. Check it out. Together to subdue him, we're sore afraid. Yet there's fight. And they're going to still fight him because the Lord's going to put the spirit on them to fight. But it goes on to say, and lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, they're going to be shooting missiles at it, trying to attack. Check it out. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war. And here in verse 9, what it's illustrating to you is the effortlessness in which the Lord is going to use to destroy his enemies. All right? He's just going to give a command, and these people are going to be eviscerated. Verse 10, check it out. But only I saw that he sent out of his mouth, as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath. This is coming out of the chariot. And out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests, and they were all mixed together. So what it's telling you right now is trying to illustrate a laser beam. When Ezra's back during his time was seeing this vision that the Lord was showing to him, he used the words and understanding that was best accessible to him during his time. So you gotta, when you read these scriptures, you gotta understand that as well. The prophets were using the words and concepts best accessible to him at the time. So he's saying this flaming breath and the fire and his temp, it was all mixed together. He's describing a laser beam. Verse 11. And they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned them up every one, so that upon the sudden of an innumerable multitude, all these hundreds and thousands and millions of people prepared to fight the Lord, what happened to them? Innumerable multitude, nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and the smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. So he's seen this vision of all the armies of the earth getting demolished by a single attack from the Lord. That's what's on our side. Remember that. And also keep in mind, this is the fashion in which the Lord is going to return. So if you see some shit in the sky playing out and it don't line up with this, understand you ain't seeing what you think you're seeing. Okay, we gotta be able to see through the deception that's getting ready to be dealt. All right, so let's go get that Project Bluebeam now. All right, so you're not gonna get a straight answer when you go to Google. So let's ask ChatGPT. It says Project Bluebeam is a modern, and they're gonna use the conspiracy theory word to try to say, oh, I don't believe this, you're crazy, right? But we know what's up. We know this. We know the terms that he uses to try to shame people for asking questions and examining the lies that he forwards. All right. He goes on to say, Project Bluebeam is a modern conspiracy theory that claims governments and global elites, often NASA and United Nations, plan to stage a fake world-shaking event to usher in authoritarian New World Order, which we know that's what they're doing. The scriptures talk about it. It's not based on verified documents or credible evidence. This is what they're going to tell you. All right? But there were people who had high positions within the government, you know, because they like to talk once they leave their job and they get fired, and multiple people brought this up. Okay, the idea was popularized in the mid-90s by Serge Manis, the Canadian writer who claimed insider knowledge, which he actually worked. You know, like, he tried to discredit the guy now. But, you know, that was pretty much the point here at the top. It's going to be an event. And you don't know necessarily how they're going to spin this event, what they're going to show people to get people to go along and get along with his plan. But it's a tactic they'll use. It's not something that's far-fetched. Okay? So if the Lord put you in the spirit to take heed, man, Abba Ratazan, was edifying. Seen that clip. You know, I got a bunch of clips saved in my phone. Sometimes I pick some randomly to respond to them, and you know, hopefully it hits. You know, who it's supposed to hit. So, with that being said, I want to give all praises once more to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim, Rakah HaKodash. I want to give double honors to apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. I want to say shalom to all the brothers and, of course, the few sisters pursuing this truth in sincerity. All right, may the blessing of election be upon your house. Shalom.